What is up, party people? How are you guys? I have a really exciting, fun, exclusive offer to share with you all. My podcast listeners are the first to hear about this new coaching program that I will be launching come April. So we are opening up a few, literally 3 early bird spots for my new one-on-one coaching program. These coaching programs will run anywhere from 3 to 6 months. You will get a weekly call with me, and this is at our early bird discounted price of $550 a month. So if this sounds like you and you are looking for more authentic types of content creation, self-development, personal awareness, any type of business development conversation, but maybe you haven't been able to put any action behind those steps, that's what my coaching program is going to be all about. I also will be incorporating a lot of the mindset practices that I talk about on the air with you all. However, it will be much more personalized into your daily routine. We will give you journal prompts, access to our course, which is an extra added bonus. I will give you those videos when it seems, appropriate throughout our coaching program, and you will be able to dive into each one of those. And then, of course, on our weekly calls, you will have access to answer and ask any of the questions that may come to mind. So if this offer sounds like you are a good fit, I want you to send me a DM on Instagram and start the DM with hashtag podcast exclusive and let me know that you are interested in inquiring on this early bird special. Come the end of April, this will be completely taken off the board with this lower pricing. So like I said, if this sounds like you, if you love this show, one-on-one coaching is perfect. You also do not have to be an entrepreneur. You can either be transitioning into a next set of lifestyle, right? Or you may be in a job that you like, but you're not able to up level while you're working in that current job. So I will be able to help you get there. As you guys know, this is my jam. I want to support you all as much as I possibly can. And yeah, DM me hashtag podcast exclusive offer if you would like to get this early bird special and book a 3 to 6 month coaching package with me. Thank you guys. I can't wait to get into this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to the End in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin, the owner of Meraki Media Management. The End in Mind is a place where we come to share stories, tips, and strategies of many entrepreneurs, creatives, business owners, and just some people that aren't willing to live the traditional lifestyle. We talk about how to live outside of the box today and how to incorporate what really is important in your life to keep that end goal always in mind. Again, if you would like to reach out to me in any type of way, you can find me on Instagram at Meraki_media_management. And I hope to hear from you all soon. Thanks so much and enjoy our show. What is up, my lovely people? Happy whatever day it is near you. I am in a little bit of a crazy mood today. It's rainy here. It was super hot yesterday in the Philadelphia area. You guys are just getting this next week, so the weather's been a little bit crazy, and to be honest, it is impacting my mental health. If the weather has been impacting your mental health, I want you to take a screenshot right now and put this on your story and talk about how insane the weather has been this year. You can even just tag me and do a little sun if you don't feel like getting into it with your Instagram followers. But I just need to know if you guys are getting impacted by the weather, because I heavily am feeling it recently since I got back from vacation in Puerto Rico. It was absolutely wonderful. The weather there was like 75 and sunny every day. So I am counting down the days till summer in Philadelphia, let me tell you. So what is up with everybody? I want to do like a check-in. I want to hear from you guys. I feel like, the podcast, we've definitely been talking to you all, but we haven't seen a lot of feedback in our reviews. Not that, you guys need to leave a review at all, but I would just love to know what you're liking about the podcast, what you're looking for out of us. Obviously, I'm offering this new coaching exclusive offer for you guys, which I will get into later in the episode. But if this sounds like you and you have any questions at all, you can send me a little DM and we can chat back and forth through voice messages to make sure that it's a good fit for you. And of course, we can always do a discovery call as well, just to solidify that this is exactly what you need. If I don't think that I will be able to provide you with the appropriate type of coaching, I will either refer you to other people in my community that you've heard on the podcast, or even beyond that, I have a large community, or I'll just tell you I'm probably not a good fit, but I would love to, support you on your journey in other ways, and I will always be rooting you guys on. So just know how much love is coming from this offer. This is something I have been holding back to launch for a really long time. And the reason why I wanted to give it to you guys first is because I appreciate you all being such loyal listeners to the show. Like, this podcast has completely changed my entire life. This community has changed my life. I hear from you all, listening in, and it just brings me so much joy. Like, I never thought that I would have a podcast. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I could sit here and tell you guys I've always had this end in mind goal, and even though I did always have an idea of what I wanted, I had no clue that it would turn into something so beautiful and so powerful that it has. So that is why we are doing this exclusive offer with you guys first, and I just hope that it shows you all how much I care about you. And even though it is a paid offer, we will be launching different types of free webinars, things like that, as we expand through this package journey, and me really leaning into one-on-one coaching because it's something that I love so much, and I haven't had the opportunity to offer until I created a partnership with my copywriter. I got my team a little bit more organized, and now I finally have some freedom to be able to give this to you guys. So I am so excited. I hope you can feel the excitement. Even though it is a gloomy day, I thought that this might, raise the vibes for us on the End in Mind. So getting into this week's podcast episode topic, the End in Mind is all about expression. When you guys come to this show, you hear me open up about some things I haven't even told like everyday people in my life. A lot of this show has become so intimate. I was actually on a recording with Angie for her podcast. She has the Permission to Kick Ass podcast. Awesome podcast. Definitely recommend it if you haven't checked it out. She was a guest on ours, End in Mind, a few weeks back now, and I was recording a second time with her because her original recording, actually her laptop crashed after we recorded it, 5 minutes after we recorded it. So we had to re-record yesterday, and the topics were just so much more on point. Like, as you guys know, I'm a firm believer in the universe is always guiding us towards whatever needs to be said that day or shared, right? So it ended up being so much more juicy, and I'm excited for that episode to launch. I'll be sharing that on my social once it does. But I talk about on the show how like controlling I used to be, right? And how it's so interesting how that control actually made me want to become an entrepreneur. And I think that that's what's so miraculous about expression and understanding a holistic journey, is that some of those characteristics within you that you maybe don't like Angie was explaining it, a lot of holistic healers will call it your shadow self, like that part of yourself that maybe, ain't all that great to share with the world. Let's just be honest. You guys know my shadow self pretty well. Just that side of me that isn't who I really am, but the way that I've been able to navigate that shadow self has brought me to where I am today. And that's why it's so beautiful to have that side of who you are. So I don't even know if shadow self is how I would explain that. It still kind of has like a dark connotation for me. I just like to call it like some of those habits that maybe I don't love about myself have gotten me to where I am. So getting back to this idea of like control and expression, really Meraki Media Management was built out of a scarcity need of control. And if I didn't have that thought process, I wouldn't have ever gotten on my healing journey. I would have never built this business to where it was. I would have never gotten as far as I am through different types of revenue goals, personal development goals, right? So even though that part of myself, I'm learning to now navigate and assess when those attributes are helping me and when they're not helping me, I still appreciate that time in my life, because without that control, I probably would have never believed that I could have done this. Like today, I was just on the phone with my mom. It's just been a weird day for me. And that's why I wanted to make sure that I recorded a podcast like when I'm not 100%, because that's authenticity, right? Like today was just a rough morning, like stuff's going on in the business. I'm not always going to be 100%. And I wanted to give this offer because it excites me. And it's like something that I want my business to turn into eventually. Like I've always been a coach for everyone in my life. And it's about damn time that I start helping other people, right? This is like what I'm actually passionate about. But that control for so long also held me back from wanting to be a coach. So even though it helped me build a very successful social media management business, that control was blocking me from the abundance of knowing how much I can help people. So instead of releasing the control and realizing that if I take on coaching clients, I'm going to have such a better outlook on my daily life. But for me, management was so controllable, literally, and obtainable that that's where I put my efforts for 3 years of running this business, instead of leaning into the coach that is actually my true identity, which I feel has been able to be expressed through this podcast. Like this podcast, you guys have helped me step into knowing that that is my true identity. And it's so funny because this is also like an identity that my dad had held before he passed. So even though we all have those shadow selves, right? Those shadow controlling negative parts, maybe negative even isn't the word, patterns that we talk about frequently on here, we still all have really, really amazing gifts. And each single one of us is different because of what we bring to the table through those gifts, right? Like, in social media, absolutely. It's a passion of mine. I love to help people with it. I love to help my clients gain balance through social and mental health. And now that the management has been able to be successful with me stepping back a little bit and giving myself more space, I've proven that I am able to now follow what I truthfully care about, which is helping people right now, today, through advice, conversations, navigating situations, feeling emotions, like all of these things. And I don't even think that it matters that I have waited so long. I think this is a part of my journey, and I needed to see this gift within myself to be able to know that I can show up for you guys and offer like an amazing coaching package that is going to impact your daily life and eventually your entire life. Because that's what happens, right, with coaching. You incorporate these small practices. Like for me, it started with meditation, drinking water every day, my green juice, taking Bales on a walk at least 3 times a week. These small little things that helped me create my management business to what it is today. And then if I could do that again for a coaching business that I know I have a gift for, that's like really my higher self, right? Imagine how much more fulfilling that could be, right? So like I'm totally going off topic of our social post week conversation of expression because it really was about Instagram and expression, but this podcast has been the most impactful for my expression by far. Like literally this has changed my life. You guys have helped me navigate this and I'm just so grateful for this experience because I never thought that this would be me, like ever. Being a coach? No, not really at all. Like I used to have a course, but I was never a coach, you know? So I'm just like so excited. And through this expression, I've been able to navigate those patterns even more productively than I would have if I wasn't expressing myself. And that's what I think is the beginning of Instagram. When you can shift out of that fear scarcity mindset of oversharing, right? Which you guys have heard my episode about how to not overshare because of course there is a limit. Like these people on YouTube, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, they are strangers, you know, like you guys come to this community, you are an extension of Meraki Media Management. You go out of your way to find and listen to this podcast. Instagram's a little bit different. The feed can just sometimes pop up on your hashtag, right? Like on your hashtag feed or on your home screen or on your discovery screen, right? So these people are most of the time complete strangers. And that's why oversharing on those platforms, there is a limit. But Instagram is the first piece of expression that I finally took when I started Meraki Media Management to share the knowledge that I had that so many people didn't know. Like we all live within our own heads. We all know that we have something to bring to the table, whether that be knowledge, support, love, advice, whatever calls you, right? You could be an esthetician, skincare advice, like obviously you can get even niche into these overarching topics, but we all intuitively know in our brains, have these conversations daily with whatever we may be thinking about. And sometimes we just assume that people know that about us. Like I remember when I went through my journey of losing my father and going through like inheriting the financial stocks that I inherited. If you guys don't know my story, you can go back and listen to some other episodes and you can learn more about how this happened to me. But I inherited this stock and I just assumed that like everyone in my immediate family knew that I was navigating business at the age 15. And then I made this video, and this is actually comical. I made this video and I put it out on LinkedIn, and people were so shocked on LinkedIn about my story. My family they never knew that, right? Like I never told them. Like my communication with them in my brain was like, oh, duh, everyone knows that about me. But then in reality, absolutely no one in my community knew that about me. So it's like, unless we are willing to express ourselves on social media, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on a podcast openly, then people aren't aware of our gifts. And honestly, if you think about it like this, not to say that this is you guys at all, but there can be a level of selfishness there, right? Like we might be able to really impact people if we're willing to share our thoughts. And it's so funny because I come from like an Italian side background, and then I also have an Irish side background. And the Italians and the Irish, just generally stereotyping here, don't come for me on this, right? Terrible to say, but they tend to not share a lot, right? Their communication tends to be not as, open, we may say, as you go through life. And when I decided to go on this journey, one of the things my mom always said, and there's a level to this that is true, she would say, don't give away all your secrets. And eventually I started to challenge her on that. And I said, well, I have to give away some of the secrets because without the secrets, no one's going to I have to build credibility. I have to explain to people that I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. And she was like, well, you don't have to tell them everything. And I was like, but Mom, this is a part of my story. Like, this is a part of who I am. It builds up to who I am. And that's what I think is so wonderful. Even though there's so many negative things that come along with these platforms, everything in moderation, right? Everything to an extreme could hurt you, right? Like anything in life. And that's what it comes back to with the end in mind. And it's finding that expression that is authentic to you, that shares your story without maybe giving too much of the pot away for free, let's say. But that storytelling of who you are as your authentic self is the need for expression to grow a solopreneur business. So many people are nervous to share their stories. And then once they do, it ends up being groundbreaking. Like I think about some of these influencers on Instagram specifically. There's this one woman that I follow. Her name is Mick, and she's great. She's all about body positivity. She posts about, different types of like skincare disorders that women struggle with, cellulite, like all the normal things that we all have that we all try to cover up on this application because we think, we're better if we don't have those things. And she posts about it openly. She's one of my favorite people to follow. These are the types of people that I follow on my personal page. It's very limited on the amount of influencers that I follow. And she's one that I love. And she talks about how when she first got famous, it was literally out of a video or a post that she had put out about like her acne and how her acne made her feel. And then all of a sudden she became an Instagram influencer. Like that is energy. That is energy right there. All of these applications, this podcast, this is energy. And the more you step into your authentic self, the more that authentic energy is able to be extended out to the masses. And the more people that we can impact, the better the world will be. Like the more you heal, the more that cup fills over into everyone around you, and you are able to help everyone else. Like throughout my holistic journey, I have impacted every single person in my personal life. This week, most of them actually came out of the woodwork and told me that. Just out of just being there for them, just being supportive. That's why I believe in coaching. Like when my mom's telling me not to share these stories when I first started my business and I challenged her, I was being my own coach. I was being my own advocate. And I want to make it very clear that you don't need a coach to tell you all of this, but a coach will help you be able to support you when you don't have anyone else in your community that is able to be there for you. And even if you do, a coach is going to be there in a different way than all the other people in your community. And that's why I believe in launching this new program with you guys, one, and two, this expression. Like if you are struggling with social and mental health and you feel that you are being called to share a message, share it. Do not hold it in. Imagine how many people that you could impact through your story. I had no clue that people would be called to my story at all, but I just felt something deep down within me that I knew I needed to share it. And it got to the point where I couldn't hold it in anymore. Like the words already started bubbling up before I had even processed how I wanted to explain it to people. Like this is what happens, right? And the more you heal, the easier it is to talk about those traumas or that shadow self, because we all have one. We all have that. We've all experienced things in our lives that has impacted us, especially if you are a highly sensitive person. And if you go back to my podcast episode with Aoife, she and I are now working together one-on-one. She's actually one of the people that inspired me to take this shift. She is such an amazing woman. She's able to help you see, like, it's okay to feel. Like us as highly sensitive people, we almost repel those emotions because we're so afraid of the outcome. When you think about it, What's the worst thing that can happen? You put a video out on Instagram or on LinkedIn and no one answers, right? And that would be okay too, because when you're coming from that authentic place of expression and who you are, it's not about the likes. It's not about the comments. It's not about any of that. When I first put that video out, I literally thought 5 people would view it about my story with my dad. And it ended up being like shared out on LinkedIn. All these people were commenting on it like, wow, this is such an amazing story. Then I got it put out on Facebook and Instagram, and all these other people were engaging on it. This was when my community had 1,000 people in it. Like, I did not have a significant following. I still debatably might not, right? But that's not what I focus on. I focus on my ideal clients in that community, and that's what makes my following significant. It's not about the number, it's about the quality of the people within the following. And that's why this form of expression will be so safe for you when you start to build those communities. And like I said, certain things on social, of course, you would maybe not want to share like specific, details that maybe are near and dear to your heart that you don't have to go into, right? You don't have to walk everyone through exactly what happened to you. Maybe that goes in your book someday, but you can give the overarching view of what happened, right? And that expression of your life will free you. It is not that scary. It will open up all the doors for you, and it will make you realize that you are not alone. Like Sean and I talk about this all the time, and he is now got his dream job. He's getting ready to move into that on the 28th of March. Really, really excited for him. And all of it came down to him believing in himself, right? And that's a form of expression, because when you are going to an interview, this is why coaching is so important for everyone. When you are going to an interview, you have to be able to express yourself to sell yourself. Right? Like, you have to know how to package your expression in order to sell who you are. And that comes from a level of confidence of understanding who you are. But the first piece is being able to talk about it, right? Opening up the communication. And if I didn't have some of the coaches that I had hired when I first launched Meraki, and even beyond that, the coaches that I work with now, I wouldn't have the confidence to do any of this crap, you guys. Like, I would not have believed that this was even possible for me. But I saw people around me doing it. It's also about showing yourself the context of the human beings that are making their dreams happen. There's something about that energy. And when they're all of a sudden supporting you, you can start to see your dreams happen. Right in front of your eyes. Like the first person that I started coaching, so we've already brought on a few coaching clients for this package that I'm launching for you guys, but this was, very, very small audience, and people that actually had approached me about this. We've been working together now for a few weeks, and we talked about how much her having an accountability within the coaching had impacted everything so much more. Because when you don't have somebody that's coming to you each week and asking you what you've done, being an entrepreneur is almost impossible, right? And that's why I say there is a level of your own accountability and your own coach that you have to be too, because your coach can only do so much for you, right? Like, your coach isn't there at your alarm clock every morning telling you to get up out of bed. But your coach is there for you to talk about on a weekly basis and go through whatever may be heavy on your heart or whatever you may be struggling with that week, right? Whether it's business, personal, life, it all ends up running together. It's all one thing, especially for us women entrepreneurs, because we are a part of the environment, right? Like, we feel everything around us. We tend to be empathic. We tend to be highly sensitive. We tend to be aware of everyone. So then at times we may even make decisions based off of other people's opinions on us without that form of expression that's actually going to be authentic to you, right? Because you're taking in everyone else's opinions instead of thinking about yourself first. that's another key piece to the coaching that I want to provide, is helping you find your intuition. Like, I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do. Of course, I'll give you guidance tools on how to find balance and finding social and mental health. But a lot of this comes down to trusting you, trusting your own intuition and leaning into that side of yourself, and having someone give you the permission to do so makes it so much more powerful for you and your coach and everyone around you. Like, it's your entire community and the people that you start to impact along the way. So, a long spiel for you guys today. That was a lot, but obviously this has been heavy on my heart. I needed to get it out today, and I just hope you guys receive this message. And like I said, if it's in alignment for you, please feel free to hashtag podcast exclusive. Send me a DM, hashtag podcast exclusive. I'm interested in, the 550 coaching offer that you mentioned on your podcast, The End in Mind. And we will discuss if it's, like I said, a good fit for you or not. And of course, if it doesn't feel in alignment, then I will be able to, like I said, refer you or maybe point you in the right direction of someone that may be able to offer you what you need. I'm not in this for the money. I just want to make that very clear. Like, eventually we will launch a group coaching program that will be affordable for people. But first, I really just want to work with people one-on-one again, because I want to get more in touch with my community and I want to learn from you all. Like, this space gives me so much awareness, and I'm able to then understand how you all are feeling emotionally. And most of the time, how you guys are feeling is how most of my clients are feeling, right? Because we all kind of fall into the same bucket. So that is what I get out of this type of coaching, especially with the early bird. It's more about us connecting on a soul level and how I can support you, and how, some of those challenges that you face, I can either help you navigate or help you find your intuitive guide that will be able to help you navigate that, right? Because I'm not going to give you a one-size-fits-all type of coaching package. That's just so far from who I am. I really want you guys to feel empowered by this offer, and when we work together eventually, if it feels right for you. So I love you guys as always, and I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast episode. I will see you all next week. Thank you so much for listening to The End in Mind. I would like to remind you all, if you haven't yet reached out to me on Instagram, we are at Meraki_media_management. It will be in our show notes as well. If you would like to reach out to me, we always offer free coaching through Instagram based around our Instagram training and our business Instagram practices. If you need any type of support, please do not hesitate to reach out to me there. And we also offer several different types of consulting and training packages if you're looking for a little bit more in-depth tips. So thank you all for listening in, and of course, I want you all to keep the end in mind as you continue with your day and or work week. Have a great week, and I will see you all next time.